Elizabeth Vargas. John, can you
come back? Violence in the past. When we come back, she seemed destined for stardom. But Natalie Cole had to fight some desperate private battles before she could claim her father's legacy.
How could Nat King Cole's daughter, this woman who came from such privilege, wind up on the streets with prostitutes and pimps?
She had talent, money, a famous name. But Natalie Cole threw it all away for drugs. And when she hit bottom, she would do anything for that next high, even sell her body.
I literally did it to survive.
Then, who will win the ultimate endurance contest? When 2020 Downtown continues after this from our ABC stations.
She could hear nothing but silence. She could see nothing but darkness. From the wonderful world of Disney, the triumphant story of Helen Keller and her teacher, Annie Sullivan.
How do I make her understand?
The Miracle Worker, coming Sunday, November 12th to ABC.
Deborah Cook and Tim Black compare. Justice Cook is an experienced Ohio Supreme Court justice. Tim Black is a municipal court judge who's never heard an appeal. On education, Deborah Cook has voted to require instructors who are paid actually have to teach, and Justice Cook regularly rules on important death penalty cases. Tim Black has never ruled on a death penalty case, but he's ruled on many traffic cases. Supreme Court Justice Deborah Cook and Municipal Judge Tim Black. Big differences.
For appeals court, Summit, Lorain, Medina, and Wayne counties, it's Batchelder, Judge Batchelder, highly recommended. Judge Batchelder, experienced writing tough anti-crime laws. Judge Batchelder, winning major police and newspaper endorsements.
For Summit County engineer, it's Esser, Gene Esser. Experienced as engineer, Esser is improving the safety of our roads and bridges. Esser, Gene Esser. Re-elect Summit County engineer, Gene Esser.
Good teachers are second only to good parents in helping children learn. That's why I wrote the Teacher Quality Act, to help our schools have the best and brightest teachers here in Ohio. But it's also critical that our kids learn in a safe environment. My bill to improve the Safe and Drug-Free Schools Act will increase our effort to reduce drugs, violence, and weapons in our schools. After all, for our kids, the future is now.
Senator Mike DeWine.
The News Channel 5 forecasters, keeping you covered.
Downtown continues with Natalie Looks Back. And now, Deborah Roberts.
Nothing may seem more glamorous than growing up among the rich and famous in Hollywood. But imagine having all that, wealth, prestige, talent, then throwing it all away and winding up here on the gritty streets of Harlem, addicted to drugs and nearly destitute. That's more than just the powerful plot for a movie. That's the real-life story of singer Natalie Cole. Tonight, the rise, the fall, and the ultimate redemption of a superstar.
I've been so many places in my life and time.
Natalie Cole. A vivacious and versatile singer, she's been churning out hit songs for 25 years.
This will be an everlasting love. This will be.
Whether on stage or strolling the streets of New York, her fans can't get enough of her. But there's a private side to this glamorous star, a side few people know about.
I have been to hell and back. I have seen the edge. I have seen the dark side of life. I mean, there were so many junkies up here.
She reveals that dark side in a candid new autobiography, Angel on My Shoulder, describing a life that's nearly unimaginable, one that includes amazing successes and a desperate plunge to a world of drugs, crime, and prostitution.
Chestnuts roasting on an open fire.
Who could believe this would happen to the daughter of one of America's most beloved entertainers, Nat King Cole?
How could Nat King Cole's daughter, this woman who came from such privilege, wind up on the streets with prostitutes and pimps?
That was where I was led in order to, I guess, become the person that I have become.
To understand who she's become, you must first realize where she came from.
But tonight,
Natalie Cole is the second daughter of Maria and Nat King Cole, and clearly inherited her father's talent, seen here singing with her older sister Carol. She had everything, except the one thing money couldn't buy.
What would you have liked to have had from him that you didn't have?
Time. Much more time.
At age 14, Natalie returned home from boarding school to the shock of her life. The father she so adored was deathly ill with lung cancer.
I hardly didn't recognize him. He had lost so much weight. His face was just really, really small. I think I was so stunned and so devastated that I don't recall if we even had a conversation.
Less than 2 months later, at age 45, Nat King Cole was dead.
It was like walking through a haze. Those are the times that you just hold on to somebody and just get through it the best that you can.
For years, Natalie shied away from her father's legendary footsteps, but found she couldn't escape the lure of music. She later joined a band and slowly began making a name for herself in small clubs along the East Coast. Then came heroin.
I had a boyfriend who was a drug addict, and it turns out that he was doing heroin on a regular basis, so I wanted to try it.
What was it that intrigued you?
I have no idea. A little insanity, a little curiosity, a little bit rebellious.
What were you rebelling against?
Maybe it was, I'm not who you want me to be. I'm who I want to be.
And who people wanted you to be, you thought was this idealistic daughter of Nat King Cole.
Yes, this princess.
Natalie put on a good show, here getting a break on national television. But behind the scenes, her heroin addiction had taken hold.
It takes over your life, it takes over your brain, it takes over your body, and it takes over your soul.
There was never enough money to pay bills and support her drug habit, so Natalie resorted to desperate measures, forging checks and worse.
There's one part of the book where you reveal something that's pretty astounding, that you wound up on the streets of Harlem, elbow to elbow with prostitutes, drug dealers, and pimps. You say you worked for a pimp as a come-on girl. What's a come-on girl?
Like a liaison, you know, that, you kind of talk to people and you say, I have a friend who, is really cute.
So you would bring in business?
But business was like under a bridge up in Harlem somewhere. And all we wanted to do was just get our stuff and get the hell out of there. Get the money, go get the drugs, go get high. That was the ultimate goal.
Did you sell your body?
So the people thought they were going to get me. In some instances, yes. Yeah.
So you did work as a prostitute?
Oh, sure. For 2 weeks. Absolutely. I did it to survive. I literally did it to survive. I didn't have anywhere to go. I had no money. And I just put myself in a position where I was willing to try even that to get what I needed, because that's what my body needed.
But somehow, Natalie, now on the cusp of fame, managed to keep her troubles quiet and to stay ahead of the law, until a 1975 trip to Canada. Police found heroin in her hotel room. Natalie was arrested. She was given 3 months probation by a sympathetic judge. But her life would take a dramatic turn 6 months later. One night, still addicted to heroin, she became so violently ill from the drug that she decided to go cold turkey. Natalie says it was a miracle, the work of an angel on her shoulder. Whatever it was, Natalie Cole never touched heroin again. Her career began to take off. 2 years after walking the streets of Harlem, her first album, Inseparable, won 2 Grammys. Natalie Cole was no longer just the daughter of a famous singer. She was a star in her own right.
Natalie Cole.
Though inside, she didn't feel like a winner.
You're in the back of your mind, you're probably the only one kind of looking around going, do they know? You know, I don't really deserve this.
Despite those insecurities, she was on a winning streak. There was a 3rd Grammy and more hits. And in 1976, Natalie married Marvin Yancey, her songwriter and producer. Together, they had a son, Robbie. Finally, her life seemed to be coming together.
Marriage to Marvin and Robbie was like a breath of pure, fresh, almost heavenly air. It was a man that I loved, who loved me. We were just so close.
But it wouldn't last. After 4 years of sobriety, Natalie discovered cocaine.
But you had already been to hell with heroin.
Mm-hmm.
How could you possibly even think about cocaine?
The memory was far enough behind me that I didn't think this would be the same thing. In a way, it wasn't. It was actually probably worse.
In no time, she was hooked and losing everything she cherished: her marriage, her relationship with her son, and her career. Her manager, Dan Cleary, says she was soon forced to make a choice.
She knew that if she didn't do something to correct this awful illness, that she couldn't, not only could she not perform, she probably wasn't going to live much longer.
So in 1983, on the heels of a new album which bombed, Natalie went into rehab for 6 months and emerged finally strong enough to reclaim her life. At first, the record business wanted no part of her, but slowly she began a comeback. And it wasn't long before Natalie Cole was back on top.
I live for your love every minute. I live for your love.
Then, in 1991, redemption. After a life of drugs and troubles, she was finally ready to embrace the very image she spent years trying to escape.
Unforgettable. That's what
She decided to record her father's greatest hits, acknowledging an angel on her shoulder.
Unforgettable. Though near or far.
Unforgettable, featuring an ingenious duet between Natalie and her father, became a phenomenal hit, selling more than 14 million copies and winning an astounding 7 Grammy Awards.
A lot of the critics said that after the success of this album, that you were finally releasing the demons from the ghost of your father, that you were finally free. Was there any truth to that?
Absolutely. It was a lot of validation, affirmation for me, my career, my intentions, and it was the best way for me to say, thanks, Dad. Thank you so much.
What do you think your dad would make of your life and all these troubles and where you are now?
I think that Dad would have wept, laughed, and wept again, tears of joy.
Natalie Cole says she is finally at peace with her past. She remains drug-free, and her recording career continues to flourish. Next week, her greatest hits will be released on CD. To hear more from Natalie Cole, log on to our website at abcnews.com. And when we return...
But darkness. From the wonderful world of Disney, the triumphant story of Helen Keller and her teacher, Annie Sullivan.
How do I make her understand?
The Miracle Worker, coming Sunday, November 12th to ABC.
Deborah Cook and Tim Black compare. Justice Cook is an experienced Ohio Supreme Court justice. Tim Black is a municipal court judge who's never heard an appeal.
With Elizabeth Vargas, John Kenyon.
come back, she violence in the past. When we come back, she seemed destined for stardom. But Natalie Cole had to fight some desperate private battles before she could claim her father's legacy.
How could Nat King Cole's daughter, this woman who came from such privilege, wind up on the streets with prostitutes and pimps?
She had talent, money, a famous name. But Natalie Cole threw it all away for drugs. And when she hit bottom, she would do anything for that next high, even sell her body.
I literally did it to survive.
Then, who will win the ultimate endurance contest? When 2020 Downtown continues after this from our ABC stations.
She could hear nothing but silence. She could see nothing.
On education, Deborah Cook has voted to require instructors who are paid actually have to teach. And Justice Cook regularly rules on important death penalty cases. Tim Black has never ruled on a death penalty case, but he's ruled on many traffic cases. Supreme Court Justice Deborah Cook and Municipal Judge Tim Black. Big differences.
For Appeals Court, Summit, Lorain, Medina, and Wayne counties, it's